Hello and welcome back to Stories with me, Jesse. Today's stories come once more from the brave individuals who remain on the front lines over at Reddit/talesfromretail. Let me know what you think of these stories in the comments, as well as any suggestions you might have that we may just use in a future installment. So strap yourselves in and bring your shopping list with you, because we're getting started now. Our first story is titled, Honestly, I'm Just Dumbfounded. I got a job at a certain unionized grocery chain recently. The one that's a half-hour drive from my home compared to the one that's 2 blocks away. But that's not important. I understand it's stressful right now, but that's no reason to take it out on a store employee. It might not even have been stress. Today, I had a customer come in with his wife and child and had a reasonable amount of food on the conveyor belt. Asked him how his day was and all that, and he's acting pretty jovial, amazingly enough. Now, we instituted a limit on pork products recently, something about factories shutting down, and he's got 3 while our limit is 2. They're all sausages, and I tell him we have a limit on pork products. It's only 2 per household right now, and he's perfectly content and jokes, "Oh, do the sausages count?" So I respond in a pretty matter-of-fact tone, because I just kinda gloss over humor and the like after a while and don't have time to formulate sentences completely correctly, that, yes, the sausages count because they're pork. Now, I understand that could be seen as me insulting his intelligence or something, but it was really just me saying, yeah, it counts. Sorry about that. He goes off the rails. His entire demeanor changes, and he just goes, "You know what? Leave the sausages. Just leave everything." He starts hurling expletives at me, not yelling them surprisingly, and just straight up leaves without any of the stuff he was going to pay for. He just leaves his stuff for my coworkers and I to clean up. He didn't yell or throw stuff around or break anything, but it was still an incredibly bad response to someone accidentally sassing you. I feel bad for the wife and kid. They probably have to deal with him being an embarrassment a lot. Yikes. I know that customer service can be quite a delicate balancing act where people expect just the right kind of demeanor, and sometimes it's difficult to be as sharp or quick-witted as they want you to be. And to be honest, after a long day, it's sometimes hard to maintain that friendliness, and you probably came across as rude, however accidentally it may have been. I've angered my fair share of customers, very rarely, and certainly never on purpose. Like there's some kind of time bomb just waiting to go off. I'd love to know your thoughts on this story below. Our next story is called 24 Years Ago and Still the Worst Customer Ever. When I was in high school, I worked as a cashier at a grocery store, and after one bad day, my dad told me that there are people in this world that are miserable in their own lives and seek out people, like cashiers, they can abuse to make themselves feel better. I've worked other customer service jobs, one in tech support, which was brutal, but still my worst customer ever was from the days as a cashier. There is no other way to describe this person. I was waiting for my next customer, and a woman was pushing her cart towards my line, when this older woman in an electric cart runs into the other ladies and pushes into my line. She then stopped and yelled at me to put her stuff on the conveyor belt. I did this, and when I got behind the register, again she yelled at me to go slow so she could make sure I was doing it right. So I rang each item up slowly and started bagging. She yelled that she wanted the bags light and double bagged, so I went to do that. Apparently, I wasn't doing that right, because she yelled that she didn't want double plastic, she wanted double paper and double plastic. 4 total bags for every 2 to 4 items. I didn't argue. I just wanted her out of my line because she was really abrasive and abusive. When I was done bagging, she yelled that I needed to put her groceries in her cart. When I was done, since apparently I didn't give her the reaction she wanted from her complaining about my job and making me do all that ridiculous stuff, she aimed a bit higher. She decided that a 16-year-old female cashier who obviously had confidence issues, otherwise why wouldn't she have stood up against the abuse at one point and showed nothing but courtesy, was an appropriate person to abuse further. She said to me exactly this: "If you just cut your hair, you could see what you were doing." As my hair had not been in my face, despite the fact that I was letting my bangs grow out, this was just a final jab from someone who was so bitter in her own life, she wanted to make a teenager cry or get angry. That didn't make it hurt less, didn't make me less angry, because I wasn't going to let her see me cry. I clenched my teeth and said as calmly as I could, "Ma'am, I can see just fine as is," and let her go without another word. The woman behind her is still the best customer I ever had. But despite my supervisor and manager witnessing this older woman and me, having colleagues on both sides of me that were much older, she was the only one who cared. She apologized for the woman in front of me, said my hair was nice, told me not to let rude people get me down, asked if I was all right, and thanked me for everything. Good lord, that sounds like a completely awful experience. Like every fiber of your being was created just to anger this woman. Thank goodness someone else noticed the undeserved abuse and incredibly entitled behavior this woman exhibited. You were very fortunate to have such a kind and empathetic person immediately after such an awful monster. It was probably like a sudden breath of fresh air. Thank goodness customers as bad as her don't seem to come around that often. Our final story is titled, Tales from the Farmer's Market. Today, a customer made me cry. This does not happen often. I work with my great friend, a local farmer, at a number of farmers markets. I've been doing this for almost 16 years. I love my job and have made some great friends with regular customers. With the current pandemic situation, two things have happened. Firstly, we've had to change how we set up and sell to customers. It's a lot more work, as we have to select and bag the goodies that people would normally pick themselves. Wearing masks and gloves makes things a little tougher, but our regular customers appreciate the extra effort and let us know. Secondly, the situation has polarized people. Most people are patient and understanding, and a very few either don't get it or don't care. We've had to sack a couple of people and chastise a few. Actually, there is a third thing. We're much busier than usual. For whatever reason, people either appreciate being out in the open or are reluctant to shop in grocery stores. In any case, we were rushed off our feet today, with 2 people serving customers and 1 taking cash. Both teams working hand over fist to keep customers moving. A steady line of people needing change is hard, because we like to shoot the breeze with the customers, but right now that's not possible for the most part. In any case, having gently shooed off 1 chatty regular so I could serve the next gentleman, the following conversation took place. You have a large bag of salad mix, $10 if you would. Gentleman handing me a $100 bill. Do some kindness with this. Oh no, that's 100. I must give you change. No, I want you to give some food to those who need it. But it's 100. I'm sure you'll find a way to use it. Well, we do that anyway. We donate a lot of food to good causes. Which we do. We often have a surplus at the end of a market, and if we think it would spoil before we sell it, or there's a lot of a product, we donate it to food banks. Well, I want you to use this. I'm sure you'll find a way. I'm speechless for a moment, which is quite rare. This is a $90 donation. Finally, I thank him profusely, wishing I could give him a huge hug. He walked off without saying another word. I had tears in my eyes as I explained to the farmer what had just happened. He and I discussed how to manage it, and we decided it will cover some debt forgiveness and some discounts to people we know are financially embarrassed at the moment. I'm misty-eyed as I type this, so please forgive any errors in typing or formatting. We've had a few people pay for others' produce. If they only have credit cards, we only take cash. And we've been generous with a few who are in need, but this is a stand-up example of how to truly care for others during the crisis, and I know that there are other stories of generosity out there. To all of you out there in retail service land, I say a big thank you, and keep holding it together. May your nitwit customers be few, and your kind ones be many. Well, would you look at that? There are indeed some kind people left out there, and I bet that gentleman's generosity caught you off guard and made your day. And kindness can be contagious and a much better feeling to share compared to the alternative. What a great story! I've had people try and tip me before, and in most retail stores, it's not something we're allowed to accept. But just like seeing that the person in front of you is short a couple of bucks, it feels really good to pay it forward. And in times of crisis like these, it certainly shows that people can still be selfless, and we can try to be positive and improve someone's day. What did you think of this story, or any of today's in general? I'd love to hear your thoughts and start a conversation in the comments. Anyways, that's all the time we have for today, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you once again for tuning in with me, Jesse. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more content, and check out what other stories I have for you. have a beautiful day, and try to be nice to someone. I'll catch you in the next one.